So my name is Luis Turcios. We good?
You're good.
All right, I'll stop there. All right, my name is Luis Turcios. I am the Safety Product Manager for United Central. I've been with United Central since January 2nd this year, so I'm in my 4th month here on the job. But as Safety Product Manager, I'm responsible for supporting our sales team that includes David and the rest of our sales team in the US. So we have locations here in West Virginia, in the Midwest, out west, up in Pennsylvania that I work to support in the safety product category. So gas detection, fall protection, cap lamps, confined space equipment, hard hats, PPE, gloves, glasses, earplugs, all that fun stuff. I work and help and support our sales team, make sure they're identifying the right products for the right applications, and then when I do have some time in the office, I work with our vendors to make sure that I am understanding the latest products so I can make sure our team is well equipped with that information and any new applications or new products that could be helpful to you guys out in the field. Make sure that our sales reps are bringing that to you and supporting that. So I am out of, if you saw my business card in there, it says Crown Point, Indiana. That's Northwest Indiana, just outside of Chicago. My history is I worked for MSA, Mine Safety Appliances, for 11 years. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, that's where they're headquartered. So despite the name, Mine Safety Appliances, MSA, wasn't as focused on the mines as they were when they first started in 1914. So the 11 years there, we had a little bit of interactions with the mine, but a lot more focus on safety products. So I did quite a bit there. I did some customer service, inside sales, marketing, and then in 2018 I moved out to Chicago to get some field experience and work on different applications, where I went into steel mills, refineries, duct processing facilities, work with utility companies, and some mining customers as well. So I eventually found my way to United Central, and it's been a great ride. It's been a lot of fun learning what you guys do day in and day out. I'm looking forward to getting out to some of the mine rescue events this year. I haven't had the opportunity to do that just yet. But that's sort of my introduction. Not to get too long-winded about myself. But one of the products that I've been working hard on this year so far has been, if you see in your information about the meeting today, is I'm going to talk a little bit about the Koehler cap lamps. So I've been on the road a decent amount talking about the Koehler cap lamps. I think I've ran into maybe a few of you. But I'm sure everyone's pretty familiar with the Koehler cap lamps. They have the corded with the big battery, cap lamps. Really good, really well known for the quality and American-made product. They eventually went from the corded to the cordless in their LI-8000 cap lamp, and it was a great product for them. And then there was, in the past year plus, there's been a little disruption in the market where the Wisdom, the Wise Light has come out, so at about half the price of what all the other cordless cap lamps were going for. So Koehler had to, get their game together and develop a cordless cap lamp as well to not only match the price point of the Wisdom Wise Light that's out there, but also make a better light. So that was their goal when they started out with the 8000. So the LI-8000 has a couple different modes. So doesn't look much different from the cap lamps generation before it. It does have a little bit bigger of a butt because in order to get the runtime that I'll talk about here, they have 2 batteries in it where previous had 1 battery. So when we talk a little bit about the light, I'm going to shot it here. You have your high, and you have your medium, and then you have your low. So I'll start talking about the high. And when we talk about the quality of the light, we like to talk about how nice and solid this center light is and how the light gradually dissipates here as it goes out. So when we look at some of the competitors to the 8000, you'll see that they'll have a clean bottom, and then it's like fuzzy and flary at the top. And then there's actually a big dark spot here where they actually have to steal this light to bring it into the center. But with the Koehler 8000, you have this nice round light, and as you get further away, the light just gets a little bit brighter, or spread out a little bit more. So I talked about the battery. So when you run it on high, you get 16-hour runtime on high, and it'll auto dim to the medium and run another 4 hours. So you get 24 hours of runtime on a full charge with this. Running it high for 16. Good. That's
Sorry, guys.
no, it's good enough light. Everyone can see it, right? So you get 16 hours, auto dims to medium, and runs for another 4. But if you run it just on a medium, it'll run for 24 full hours. This light on medium is actually brighter than the previous version on high. So they were able to achieve a better light, and this is about half the price of the previous version, and it is on par price-wise with the Wisdom Wise Light as well. One of the other things that they did with this light for slips, trips, and falls, it'll probably be a little hard for you to see back there, but there's a line that goes across the top so that the light would be wasted up on the ceiling. What they did was actually fold that light down so that when you're wearing it, you see the shadow go straight down, you actually have light at your feet for slips, trips, and falls. The competitor's light is more angled like this, so the light actually doesn't start until 3 or 4 feet in front of you, so you don't really have that light in your feet. So they did that from a slips, trips, and falls perspective. Let's see here. This is one of the biggest things. I mentioned it earlier when I was talking about the Corded, but it is an American-made product. This is made in their facility up in Central PA. It's made by a guy named Bill. I met Bill when I went there on my tour in January. So, they're right there for quick warranty, repair work, and turnaround. And this light actually is field serviceable. There's the bezel on the front of it. You can actually take the bezel off and replace it. So if the bezel gets all scratched up and things like that, you can easily replace it. A lot of the competition and previous versions of the Koehler lights were not field serviceable. You'd have to send them back. The last thing I'll mention here is that they put a sacrificial coating on their clip so that the corrosion will attack that coating first before it actually gets into the integrity of the metal. So just another item for longevity. Just a couple other little spec things. We're looking at 6 hours from completely zero to full charge on the charger. They do have charging banks. It's your standard USB-C cord, goes into the back of this, so you can charge this in your car. It just slides in. And the reason they made it slide in on the charger is so that if there's any dirt or grime or anything here, it has some friction that goes against it and clears those contact points. There's some competitive units out there that use a magnetic charge, and if there has any dust or residue or anything like that, it could appear to be charging, but it's not. So the way they designed this was to make sure that it had that friction so that it does have a way of kind of clearing those contacts a little bit to get on there. The light can come with a charger or without a charger. They do have a 48-unit bank of chargers that they can build for you and sell to you. It's a nice bank, but really the brains of the charging is here. If you get a couple of these lights, you can put it on a 2x4, get a power strip, and you got yourself a nice bank of chargers. So they made it nice and easy. You can do it yourself, or you can get it from them. Trying to think through the last specs. Really, it's just 2-year warranty. Normal wear and tear. Obviously, if you run it over, probably not going to replace it under the warranty for you. And I know things do happen down in the mine to these, so nice to have a warranty. And if it's still whole and it doesn't look like it's been run over, they're pretty good about replacing it. So they did just receive MSHA late in 2023, but there was a mine in the Midwest that did not require MSHA certification, and they've been running about 800 of these for over a year now, and they love it, have no complaints about it, it's working well, they continue to order them as they get more employees in, so even though it is a newer product with newer IMSHA, we're starting to see more of them out in the field as we get them into our customers' hands, but they are tried and true, so yeah, very little to worry about there. But that's all I have with the light. It's short and I try to make it short and sweet and leave Dante some time. But does anyone have any questions about the light? Yep. So you'll get 20 hours on high, and it'll auto dim and run for another 4. I'm sorry, you'll get 16 hours on high. It'll auto dim and run another 4 on medium. So it's 20 hours of runtime. Or if you just started on medium, it'll run for 24 hours. I also forgot to mention the Survivor light will run for 120 hours, so 5 days. And with the Survivor light, it's a dim light, but it's a nice solid spot so you can actually look and read something. If you look at some of our competitors' lights, it almost looks like a CVS symbol. I don't know if you know what light I'm talking about. And you gotta kinda have to turn it up, look at it sideways just so you can have it on the spot to try to read it. And where this is a nice spot. But 20 hours, you run it on high, 24 medium, 5 days on survival.
And I'll say something, if somebody will ask this question, I'll go ahead and answer. The price, it's, everybody in here, it's $160. It's $159.99, but hell, that ain't worth saying, it's $160.
And that's with the charger, so.
That's with the charger.
We can go a little bit lower.
And it's 130 something with bare light, if you're replacing one that you've got a charger for.
So they made a better light at a comparable price to the competitors, and it's American-made product, so.
I compared it earlier to your previous version, and the Wisdom light and weight is about equal all the way through. It is a tad heavier than your original, I didn't put it on anything official, you just put it on a hat.
Yeah, so this is about 4 ounces heavier than the previous Koehler version, the 6000, but it's within an ounce of the Wisdom Wise light,
Correct.
so.
Yeah, with Wisdom, I couldn't really
Yeah.
tell any difference on my hat.
We ordered some of that,
Okay.
we started part of it a little bit, so comparing.
Yeah.
This is a dumb question, and some of my buddies up there are gonna make fun of me, but can I run a remote box with it?
I'm sorry.
No, you cannot, because it don't have the.
I thought it did have the slide.
No,
That's just for the charging.
it's just a
Okay.
charger.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
And then, this isn't a question, but a comment, I want these guys to be aware of this, so, he mentioned his MSA background, but whenever I got a chance to meet Lewis at the Cole Symposium and talk a little bit longer at least, with that MSA background, he's got a lot of fall protection background, and we've actually had a little bit of conversation about maybe trying to set up like a train-the-trainer fall protection class or something like that, to make some of us safety guys a little more proficient in training the guys at the mines, and he's interested in that, but I want you guys to put that in your back pocket, because that'll be a good resource for us.
And I know, I still know everything, but I don't have the certification to be able to say, hey, I trained you, now you're a competent person, you can go do these things. But United Central has many vendors that have that capability that we can work with and help facilitate some of those types of trainings. But I can at least be a point of contact to have the initial conversation to make sure we're asking those vendors the right questions for the things that we need. Well, I'll still be here. If you have any other questions, I'll be around. I think there'll be an opportunity for us to chat, and I'll give you some time to think of some questions for me.
Good evening, everyone. Introduced myself earlier. My name is Dante Moore, and I am with Industrial Scientific. Before I jump into my presentation here, I do want to say thank you to JJ and the committee for giving me the opportunity to come and speak in front of this group. I am honored to have this opportunity. I have a few slides. I won't talk long, I promise. I'll try to keep track of this. I'll try to go to about 15, 20 minutes. There was a little typo in the agenda, so I had a lot more slides until I seen the agenda, then I had to strip out a lot of information, okay? One of the pieces of information that I did strip out, talked about the history of industrial scientific. I'll be able to speak to that with my bio. So I am from Pittsburgh, headquarters, right? So Industrial Scientific, we only have 2 locations here in the States. Pittsburgh, which is corporate headquarters. We design, manufacture, service right there, 4 hours from here. And then we do have a service center in Houston, Texas. I have been with ISC, coming up 17 years, into this year will be 18. I've been served in numerous departments within the organization, primarily focused on the technical side of the operation, right? I've been out here in the field. I served every industry practically with gas detection, traveled all across the world. I was in Bangkok, I've been in Venezuela, Costa Rica, all through all 7 provinces in Canada doing gas detection work. So you can ask me questions. If I don't know the answer, I will follow back up, but please test me, ask me questions. I'm going to give you information today. I hope you do come back with a lot of questions. I was tasked with a special assignment last year in 2023 in July to work exclusively with United Central. So some of you may be aware, some of you may not, but the relationship we do have a relationship between Industrial Scientific and United Central. Practically, what does that mean? Anything east of the Mississippi River, United Central is our mining partner, okay? So when it comes to the MSHA approved instruments, the only people we sell those to is to United Central. Any other distributor east of the Mississippi, we don't sell to them, not MSHA. Outside, you move to the west, that's a different story, but east of Mississippi. So this past summer, I was tasked, I was given the opportunity to go and work exclusively with United Central. That's when I met David Walker and the whole slew over there, and that has been very interesting. I noted I served practically every industry in gas detection until July. I never served coal. I never served coal mining east of the Mississippi. I worked with other mining operations in Canada out west. They're very different than coal, right? They operate very differently. It's not the same. So the past, 9 months has been a learning curve for me, but I love it. I'm still here and I'm not going nowhere, okay? More recently, as of April 1st, my title has changed. So my scope has expanded. Before I was just focused and worked exclusively with United Central, but now current state, I am the sales rep for Ohio, West Virginia, Indiana, and Kentucky. Okay, so now I take care of all gas detection in this territory, but I did not lose mining east of Mississippi. So as far as you're concerned, when it comes to coal, east of Mississippi, I am still the main go-to guy, and I am tasked to grow our business in this region. What's cool about Industrial Scientific is, I like what he said about MSA, how they started in 1914, but didn't have a strong focus. Industrial Scientific, we came directly from coal mining. We started in 1985, okay? We was actually the first company to put out a gas monitor for the coal mining industry. We always had a very strong focus on coal, right? This is where we were birthed from. Today, if I had to guess, coal mining is probably 20% of our revenue, right? Oil and gas and the other industries make up the rest of our revenue, but we are still heavily invested and a lot of interest in coal mining. That's where we started at. Just moving along here, I'm not gonna spend too much time on this slide, but we are all very familiar with the mine refuge chamber instrument. I think it was 2013 when this mandate came down. And everybody had to install this instrument into the rescue chambers. Industrial Scientific, we were the only company at that time to get that approval through MSHA to be allowed to put that instrument into that chamber. I could be wrong today, but I still believe that still holds true today. We are still the only manufacturer who has a portable gas monitor approved for those chambers. And this is one of the first things that I learned when I came out, started working with United Central in July. And this is what I learned. Where are the units today? And I tip my hat to mine. I tip my hat to the coal miners. Because these instruments we manufactured in 2013, and what I found, you still have these instruments. They are still in those chambers. They come out once a month, you maintain them, you calibrate them, you place sensors, and you put them right back in there. Most of my customers, they can't keep an instrument more than a year, right? Now I know in normal operations with them coal miners and the other instruments for day to day, they beat those to hell, right? But these instruments, you still have them. They're still getting calibrated. You're swapping out the alkaline battery packs. But what I uncovered was this. These instruments are 10 years old. There's a little coin battery on the inside. Actually hanging out with David Walker, going around the mine rescue contest, coming here, working with JJ, doing some presentations, there was a common theme that kept coming back to me. A common question. Dante, this MX6 will not hold the time and date. Dante, this MX6 will not store my calibration information. I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like, we went to work on this, okay? Come to find out, I knew this, there's a little coin battery on that board inside that instrument. It's the little coin battery that stores the time and date, that stores the calibration information. That coin battery has a lifespan, okay? That lifespan is probably 5 to 7, 8 years before that little coin battery is depleted. It can be replaced, not in the field, you have to send it back to industrial scientific. So if you guys have these instruments that are 10 plus years old, you're probably seeing this issue, okay? Something else I picked up on, old firmware. So as you know, when you do your monthly calibrations, so that you don't have to deal with these alkaline battery packs and the pull tab, right, which can be finicky, tough to get back into place, we're removing that alkaline battery pack and putting on a lithium battery pack, right? We run into some compatibility issues, especially the lithium ion battery packs. They're smart battery packs, right? So if you're taking that, if you got a brand new lithium ion battery and you're putting it onto an MX6 that was 10 years old, you might run into some issues. That instrument may not behave normally, right? You probably see just weird things happening, and that's because of compatibility with that battery, right? Most importantly, it's also out of warranty. Knowing this information, it was David, myself, and there was one other gentleman, and we went, them two brothers, you know about them two brothers? Barbecue joint here in Charleston?
They are so good.
They are really.
Very
good.
I introduced Luis today for lunch, we went for lunch. But it was outside of them two brothers, with me, David, and another individual, we stood outside when we dreamt up this program, okay? This is the chamber trade-in program, okay? We had to capture the data, understand the pain. Like, I need something for these miners, we need to work with them, we gotta get them newer working equipment. And this is the trade-in program. For a brand new chamber unit, you're looking at, let's just call it $4,000. I like what you said, I'm not gonna say $3,900, $4,000, right? For a brand new chamber unit. We are discounting that today at practically 40%. So you can actually, if you give me your old instrument, you can actually buy a new chamber unit. This is for a trade-in deal only. Give me your old unit and we will sell you a new one. And you see the price is a little small. I want to say, and this will probably be a question for the pump, it's about $2,200, and then for the diffusion, $2,400. So under $2,500, you could get you a brand new chamber unit, swapping out with the warranty, with the 2-year bumper-to-bumper warranty on this new instrument. It could get you a brand new, fully updated instrument. Even if you want to use it with docking stations, you're guaranteed that. I didn't even mention that. That was the other compatibility issue with docking stations. I got a lot of minds who wants to use a docking, instead of doing the manual calibrations, they want to use a docking station. So, brand new instrument. This is a very good special, 40% off list price for all miners. And the only thing you have to do is just give United Central the old instrument and they will sell you the new one, and you just call up your local United Central rep to make that happen. Moving along here, mine rescue. I learned a lot about mine rescue. I didn't even know what mine rescue was in July. I made my way to a lot of my rescue events. I was actually having my first time, I just went to the Smoky Mountains a month ago to a mine rescue event. I'm like, that was cool, that was cool.
That's a great place for Dante.
Yes, yes. But let's just talk about mine rescue. So mine rescue instruments, you're using an MX6, right? A normal MX6, but you have 4 sensors. Sensor 1 is your standard Cat B sensor that reads 0 to 5% volume, right? Then you have a second, and that's for methane. Then you have a second methane sensor in that MX6 that reads methane from concentrations of 0 to 100% volume. Accurate there? Makes sense?
Called high range.
Called the high range sensor. Then you have a high range CO sensor, because the standard CO sensor reads 0 to 1,000, maybe 2, I think it's 1,000, 0 to 1,000. The high range reads 0 to 10,000. And then you have an oxygen sensor, right? Typical mine rescue instrument. What am I hearing from my miners at these Dante, this thing, we love it, we trust it, this thing is accurate. No bad complaints other than it is old, it is bulky, and we would like to see newer technology or something different, okay? And it's also expensive. Again, we're coming in at that $4,000 price tag. It's the MX6, it is what it is. It's probably our most expensive instrument that we offer. I need to say this. As I'm progressing through this PowerPoint and introduce you to other products, understand the MX6 is not going away. So please don't, anything I say, don't think, oh, the MX6 is going away, we won't be able to buy it tomorrow. That is not the case, okay? Moving along here, we have this newer instrument called the Ventus Pro. I'm sure you're probably familiar with the Ventus MX4 instrument, which is a very price competitive instrument that might be used in the day-to-day operations with your miners, right? So this is the big brother to the Ventus MX4. So we call this instrument the Ventus Pro. This is actually like our flagship instrument at Industrial Scientific. This instrument is cool. Starting off, you see the red triangle button, that is a panic alarm. I can press holding that panic alarm, the unit can go into the alarm. So like if I'm in distress, I need to call out, I need help, I can hold in that red button, the unit goes into the alarm. I also have a built-in man-down feature built into this instrument, right? So if this instrument is flipped on my body, and if I trip and fall, if I'm laying motionless for a certain period of time, this unit can go to a full-blown alarm, alerting people saying, hey, man down, right? It is capable of detecting up to 5 gases, but I meant to add this to the slide, because I'm in West Virginia, and I know what you're going to ask me. You need diesel, NO, and NO2. I cannot do NO. I can do NO2, but I cannot do NO, right? So for diesel emissions, diesel checks, we still got to stick with the MX6. However, outside of diesel, I can get 5 sensors into this instrument, okay? It's capable of detecting up to 5 gases. One of the best parts about this instrument, and I have this product outside, we have this wireless technology built into this instrument. This wireless technology, what we call Lens Wireless. This is what allows my gas monitors to talk to each other, okay? I'm gonna stay at a high level. If you ask me questions, we can go deep and I can give you more detail. But at a high level, when I enable my wireless communication, these 2 instruments talk to each other. I can actually have up to 25 of these devices in a group all talking to each other. And what does that mean? Let's just say it's me, Luis, and David, and we're working together. And we all 3 of us have a Ventus Pro instrument. And if we enable this Lens Wireless, if Luis gets a gas alarm, his gas alarm will be transferred to my instrument. So now I can look at my instrument and I can see Luis is having a gas alarm. Same thing, and that alarm will also go to David, right? So even though I may not be able to see him, or he might just be around the corner from me, I can still share gas reading so I know what Luis is into, right? Another good application is confined spaces, right? To where there's a situation going on and God forbid, he's man down in that confined space, he's motionless, so he's getting a man down alarm, and let's say there's no oxygen in that space, and I have to go in there and make an attempt to go save this person. Before I jump into that space, at least using a gas monitor, from a gas monitor perspective, I can drill into my instrument and see what those readings are inside that space before I jump into it. And And this will tell me, hey, there's no oxygen. You need to pump air down there. Oh, let's pump air, because I know if I jump in that space with doing nothing, I'm gonna be laying right next to him. And it's gonna be the next rescuer who's gonna have to do something. Does this make sense? So this wireless technology, this is what we call lens wireless. We do have other connectivity options like cellular, Wi-Fi, satellite options, coal mining, we're not getting into that. If you got questions, I can speak to it, right? So that makes, this Ventus Pro is capable of, not only can it talk to each other, but it's capable of sending real-time data from right here directly to the cloud, to INet control. And now I can get real-time data wherever I'm at. If Luis has a cellular instrument, if he gets a gas alarm, if he's working in West Virginia and I'm hanging out in New York, the minute he gets a gas alarm, he gets a man down alarm, that alarm hits the cloud, it can come directly to my cell phone via text or email, right? But again, we're not doing too much of that with coal, so if you got questions, I can definitely speak to. This Ventus Pro, coming up here, this is going to be my choice of instrument for my rescue teams. And I listed the reasons why. Let's go back to that methane sensor. In the MX6, you have two methane sensors. Remember, the Cat B 0 to 5, and then you have your high range. In this Ventus Pro, I only need one sensor, which is a high range methane sensor. The reason why I need one is because my high range methane sensor in Ventus Pro, it reads out methane in the resolution of 0.1. So that same resolution you was getting on that Cat B that read 0 to 5, it'll read 1.1, 2.2, 2.5, 4.1. The IR sensor in the MX6 can't get you that resolution. The resolution in the IR sensor in the MX6, it just reads out whole numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 100. In this case, with the Ventus Pro, on the range of 0 to 5, my IR sensor will read out in 0.1 increments. So I get that same resolution that I was getting on my Cat B sensor, 1.1, 2.3, 4.5. But then once I get to 5% volume, this sensor will automatically switch over, change its resolution, and starts to count up to 100 in increments of 1. So there's they go 5, 6, 7, 50, 80, up to 100. Does that make sense? So just that feature alone, that reduces the number of sensors I need in my MX6. So now I just have from 2 methane sensors, I'm down to 1, okay? The peer-to-peer. So when you talk about mine rescue teams, you are a team. You're working together. Is that an accurate statement? If we're making an attempt and if we're a team and we have to respond to a situation, I do care what your gas readings are. I do care what your readings are, right? Because we're communicating, we probably got radios, we're talking to each other, we're in the middle of a situation, we're communicating. So I do have interest in what your gas readings are. This peer-to-peer technology gives you more insight than what you have today when it comes to gas detection. Because now I can see what Luis, if Luis is in front of me or Luis is behind me, I can see what Luis's gas readings are. Does that make sense? It's smaller and lighter than the MX6. The biggest part is coming up here, should be June, Q2, we are releasing a CO high sensor for the Ventus Pro. Currently today, we just have the standard CO sensor that reads 0 to 1,000. If I want this on my rescue team, if I want miners using this instrument, I need that high range CO sensor, and we are committed. We have it. We're just going through that manufacturing approval and all this, dotting the I's, crossing the T's. It will be ready to go come June, so I will have a high range 0 to 10,000 sensor. Just based on this configuration, because I removed that Cat B sensor, which is a high power sensor, and that Cat B is what draws the power from my instrument, I get 54 hours runtime. And this instrument comes with a 4-year warranty, and we're coming in at a price point of about $1,800, right? And trust me, when this sensor is out, I'm coming to you with some nice deals to get you to trade in your existing product to go to this Ventus Pro. So what I will say to this, on this slide, if you have budget, or if you're entertaining buying new mine rescue equipment, my only ask, just give me a few more months. Let me roll this out and then let's talk. It's my only ask. I only got a few more slides here, I'm wrapping up. And these last couple slides, it is a service. You all use gas monitors. As you use gas monitors, if you're responsible for the gas monitors, ask yourself this question. When you talk about your fleet of monitors, what keeps you up at night? What don't you like about your gas detection program? Is it, we need more monitors for a job tomorrow, and we're in trouble because half of my fleet is broken, and we can't get them repaired fast enough, and we need them now, we need them tomorrow. They break all the time. Repairing instruments costs us time and money. Dante, I can't keep sending you instruments out every other week to get repaired. You're blowing my budget out the water. I literally have minds telling me, Dante, just last quarter, the last 3 months of the year, I literally spent about close to $15,000, $20,000 on new gas monitoring equipment because our stuff was old and we needed it. So do I have an out of control budget? Do I need to control my budget? And my instruments ain't compliant. Like, how do you know, like, do we struggle with getting our instruments calibrated and bump tested? If somebody walked up tomorrow and said, show me your instrument was calibrated, can we easily do that? Right? These are just some of the questions like that I'm asking. What keeps you up at night when you're thinking about your gas monitoring program? To answer some of those questions, if I said, hey, I can help you control your costs. That budget that goes up and down, I can't control it. I don't know where instruments are going to break. I don't know when we're going to lose them. I can help you set a budget for the next 4 years, 2 years, one set cost to maintain your fleet of gas monitors. Do you need insight into calibration and bump testing? Do you want a way to be able to record or go back and say, I have proof, 100% documentation that my instrument was calibrated. I got a calibration certificate. I got a bump test. Or even if we want to get into data and behaviors, right? Like a lot of times you may not even know. You probably know you have a gassy mine. You know your instruments are going into an alarm, but how much are they going into an alarm? Or are we getting alarms because of behavior? Like, these are questions we don't, in some cases, we don't know how these alarms are. We know how they're getting generated, but there could be something else that could be said here. There might be a chance we can reduce some of these alarms in some cases if we had more insight into these alarms happening. I'm saying this because we have gas detection as a service at Industrial Scientific. This is a game changer. Somebody asked me this question, so this is a game changer. You're no longer buying and owning and maintaining your gas monitors. You're going to leave that to us. You're just going to lease them. And you're just going to use them. You're going to use my docking station. You're going to use my docking station. So this is a docking station. You place your instrument on your dock. It'll automatically calibrates, bump tests your instrument, sends data to INet control to the dashboard. If there is a problem, if the docking station detects a problem with your instrument, this docking station, if a problem is detected, Industrial Scientific ships a new monitor to your site within 24 to 48 hours. This is an automated process. We have our business, like our business model is built around this process, INet Exchange. Literally, I don't care if you drop your instrument and the LCD busted. I don't care if you have an instrument that has a pump got sucked up, dirt and debris, and the pump is no longer working. You could call me, you could go into the software and say, I need an exchange. We're only located in Pittsburgh. Our turnaround time is 24 to 48 hours. You can get your replacement instrument, right? But I will tell you this. In order to entertain something like this, you have to understand exactly where you're at today with your gas detection program. I say that because if you say, hey, Dante, give me a quote. I want to see what a lease looks like for gas detectors. If I simply gave that to you and you didn't do your homework, you're going to throw up at my lease number. But I guarantee you this, if you went back to your books and you looked at the amount of money you're spending yearly for the past year, past 4 years, and if you add those numbers up, my lease program comes in less than that. This program was designed, we know what we're doing here. But I just want to make sure we understand. I was in a meeting last week with Mr. Walker, and the question came up, Dante, you might not know this answer, but I'm curious, how many coal mines in West Virginia are using this program? I said, I do know that answer, unfortunately, that is 0. But when I go outside of West Virginia, and I go outside of coal, if I went out west to my rock mine, or if I go north into Canada to those rock mines, I got them all. You go out west, all the major players, the Nevada Golds, the Freeports, we got them all on this INet program. Oil and gas, like that's probably 60–70% of our revenue at Industrial Scientific. Oil and gas, we got all the major players, all the refineries, midstream, upstream, they're all on this lease program. Coal is not on the program. There's reasons, simply because the team that was here before, it was all about the service. Hey, they just want to buy instruments, they just didn't pitch this solution to you guys, right? But coal can definitely take a good advantage. Coal miners can take good advantage of this program. And that is my presentation. That's all I have. The contact information is up there. I gave everybody my card. Please reach out to me. I love to talk. I'll come to you. We can sit down, have a conversation. That's all I have. Thank you.
Dante, I've got
Yes.
questions. Bunch. First comment, do you want us to attach this PowerPoint in the communication we have post-meeting?
We can. If anything, I just wanted to convert it to PDF just so somebody couldn't, but yeah, we could do that, absolutely.
So I'll get you to send that to Danielle if you don't care, and if not the whole PowerPoint, well, even if we do the whole PowerPoint, I would put aside the one slide that shows the pricing.
Yes.
Just as an attachment, these guys can print, they've got it to hand to whomever.
Exchange program.
Yes, the exchange program with the NX6. Is there plans to seek bench approval for the Ventus Pro to use it in the RAs?
What's our, the?
Refuge shelter.
No, not the Ventus Pro, because in order to do that, we have to have alkaline battery packs. We do, and the Ventus Pro does not play well. Your runtime is like an hour. However, we are in the works of developing our next gas monitor. And I'm telling my engineering team, we need to work with them to get this new gas monitor, whatever we roll out, which is, we're ways away, that will hopefully be the next replacement for the chamber.
Okay.
But no, not for the V Pro.
Is there a CO2 sensor available for the Ventus?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Actually, we have a dual CO2 sensor. You can do CO2 and methane.
Does the Ventus require a daily bump?
It doesn't require it, we recommend it.
So it requires it in our industry.
Yeah.
If you recommend something, we have to do it.
And then the last thing I've got, the communication, I can't remember the terminology, but the communication from your device to my device.
Lens wireless.
The lens wireless, is that device to device, or is that device to Wi-Fi back to?
No, that's device to device, instrument to instrument, and that range is 100 meters or 300 feet from device to device. And understanding lens is radio frequency operating on 2.4 gigahertz. So radio frequencies tend to bounce around, and you can have up to 25 of these devices. So the more devices you add, the bigger your network is.
Gotcha.
As long as one can touch, as long as one can get to one, it can get.
Yes. Yes.
That's all I got.
So, One question, of course, going back to the MX6, we used these same detectors in a class in 2008, and we're just now switching those detectors out. That tells you how old they are. But what I was wanting to ask you, and I think it was 2008, JJ and Aaron might remember, we went through an industrial scientific 3-day gas detection class, and actually got a certification for that. Do they still offer that through United Central?
Yes.
Or
United
through
States.
Industrial Scientific?
So we can definitely work with, I'm glad you brought that up, yes. That, we have GDME, it's called Gas Detection Made Easy. Actually,
Right.
Luis, He's actually coming to hang out with me into the month, and he will get firsthand experience on what this course brings to the table. But yes, you can come to Pittsburgh, for this course, or we could work directly with United Central, we could quote you, and we could send Industrial Scientific to you, and get you paired up with our trainers, and you could build out a course. It could be custom, it could be standard, but yes, that is still offered today.
How many people can we handle during one course?
How many people can we handle during one course?
Gas detection made easy class, how many participants can be in the class at one time?
Oh, our trainers are very thorough, very good, they know how to handle a class. I bet we had classes probably 80 plus. I think on average, we probably see about 15 to 30 people in a course, you know what I mean? But you can definitely go high, we can run it up.
So these guys already know my mindset, so they can't turn loose with 20 people from Blackhawk, and they can't turn loose with 20 people from United. So the advantage of what we hold with the central app is we can overlap and you know, so I could host it through central app.
Yes.
And let all these guys send 3 or 4 people to put a good class together. We do it a couple times throughout the year and serve everybody's purpose.
Absolutely, and we also do a trainer as well. So if you have somebody from Central App, we could get them with our training department, and they can build out a curriculum as well. And they'll train you and make sure you got all the information needed so that you can present it to your teams at a later time. We have all of those operations at Industrial Science.
The gas detection made easy class, is it a 3-day course?
Actually, we just changed it, it's a 2-day course.
Okay.
It is now a 2-day course, and if you just went to our website, INDSCI, we offer them, I think, every other month in Pittsburgh, I do believe every other month. But if you went to our website, and the website is on my card, just go to our website. You go to training, you'll have to do some click services training, but we do have it outlined like for the entire year, all of our training services that we're offering throughout the rest of the year. So you can say, I wanna go to this one, I wanna go to that one, or say, hey, I want you to come to me, right, so.
Yeah, we probably wanna do it here if we can find a good place to do the training.
Absolutely.
Don't know where you'd find that though.
Not at all. And she's not even paying Yeah.
It's just a quick story. My father-in-law used to own an underground mine in the 80s through the 90s. I'm pretty sure when he passed away, cleaning his stuff out, I'm pretty sure I have a 1985 gas detector still in the box with the instructions. It's never been used.
And this probably says national safety on it. Cause national safety was who we were when we came out. I think it was called Industrial National Safety Supply.
It's
And
something
then they
in that
took on Industrial
name.
Scientific, yes.
When I seen that, it made me think of it, but I
Yeah.
kept it.
That is us.
Just
That is
to
us.
have it, but I'm pretty sure I got one.
That is us.
Papers
Question
never
you
use
would
this
ask is,
water.
how much is it worth now?
And something else that I will say, if somebody, and Dante didn't mention this, one thing I'll say, he probably don't want me to mention, but one I will. They do trade-ins on others. If somebody wanted to,
Yes, absolutely. And the trade-ins, I'll tell you this, competitive equipment. If you're using MSA, if you're using Draeger, I will give you money for those if you buy new with me, okay? And then I will tell you this, and look, I'm so serious, I love being a sales rep. I've never been a sales rep all my life. They just gave me this promotion 2 weeks ago, seriously. Yes, I will give you trade-ins all day, and know this, if you want to entertain my lease program, your trade-in value just went up.
Yeah.
Your trade-in, so if you got that Draeger, you have those MSA instruments, right? If you're just saying, Dante, I just wanna buy your product, okay, I'll give you $1, right? But if you say, hey, Dante, not only do I have MSA, but I want to do your lease, you might get $2.50 for an instrument. I'm just making up numbers, right? But yes, I love trade-ins.
and on the shelter units, I'll say this, the one you trade in, it doesn't have to work. If if you understand
No,
what
it
we're
doesn't,
saying.
it doesn't, it doesn't
It
have to.
doesn't have to work.
I
So
was
don't
already
pick out a
there.
good one if you're trading that.
Yeah, pick
Hang
up
on to
worst
the
one.
good.
Pick up the worst
We'll
one.
take the ones back that,
Our spare
I had a guy
parts.
try to do that the other day, and I'm like, sure, that's what you wanna do?
Right.
He said, I don't understand. I said, I know you've got one right here somewhere that's junk.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Any other questions for me? Thank you.
When are you and Luis going to Pittsburgh? I wanna make sure I get my beef orders in before you two arrive.
Yes, sir. And you wanna do that?
Oh, that's too, for somebody who runs a tech company, that's too fancy for me. Just a sec. Not native. Okay, there we go. Okay, well, good evening, everyone. JJ, appreciate the invite, and obviously, like I said earlier, my name is Russell Unrath, and I'm the CEO of MedCognition. So what I wanna do is, honestly, get some feedback, get some ideas tonight. I wanna tell you a little bit about who we are, about what we do, about why we do it, and why someone with my background is actually involved with a company like this, because if you get to know a little bit about me, and I'll tell you about me, it doesn't make any sense why I'm doing what I'm doing, except for one key factor. So let's start from the beginning. First of all, our mission is clear and simple. We want to revolutionize medical training to help others save more lives. That's it. It's no more complicated than that. And if you asked me even a couple of years ago if I would be standing in a room like this or the dozens of others I stand in talking about augmented reality software, I'd say no, I'm an enterprise software sales rep. I've got 3 to 5 year sales cycle. This is how I've been family. I travel all around the globe. And now I'm finding myself in rooms like this, all over, God's country here in Mid-Atlantic, talking about how we train others to save more lives. But the reason I got passionate, and I don't want to, it's late in the day, you guys have long drives, I don't want to bring the room down, but something with my background, right, is important for you all to know. So when I was 13, I'm the youngest of 4, my mother got very sick. She was a mess, to say it kindly and nicely. And in the last moments of her life, there was a small issue, is what we were told, but she died at 43, so just a few years older than I am now, and that shouldn't have happened. It was a medical error, there's no contingencies for that, we didn't grow up with much, we had no way to fight, there's nothing we could do, nothing's gonna bring her back. So the reason I'm passionate about what we do at MedCognition is because somewhere down the line, right, we wanna impact the way people train so they make better cognitive decisions so that medics can save more lives, and that stuff doesn't happen, right? Now that was a one-off, that's part of my story, but it's important to know as we go through this. I know technology, I know how to train people, I'll be very transparent. I don't know mining, I don't know mining safety, but I believe that when we get into this, you're gonna see the ties and the connections very quickly, right? Fortunately, I'm tied up with the Permco folks who know mining very well from what I'm learning over the last 6 to 7 weeks here. So if you give me a little bit of grace, if you throw terms at me as we're talking, I might give you the deer in the headlight look. I'll probably turn to Robbie or Casey or April and ask for questions here, but let's kind of get after it. So just to talk a little bit about who we are and what we do, because there are people underneath me that are considerably smarter than I am, which I think is the best way to lead an organization. So John Quarles is the professor of computer science at the University of Texas Health San Antonio. He's our PhD. He wrote the original base code for our holograms, which we're gonna get into in a bit. He is legitimately an international expert on mixed reality, so VR and AR. He speaks all over the world, and this man fails to talk about the fact that he gets to speak to thousands of people at once about mixed reality. He is the most humble guy you meet. If he was here, he would be in shorts and some vintage Nintendo t-shirt, Mega Man, what have you. Hector Caraballo is our chief medical officer. He's also one of the founders of the organization. He runs a standalone ER, but his role with us, aside from being our vice chair, is to clinically validate everything that we're doing. And then you can see just a little snapshot of one of our holographic patients here at one of our clients at Sumner County. But let's talk a little bit more about the reason we're into this, right, what we're going after. So medical error results in 250,000 deaths every year. Doesn't sound like a huge number when you stack it up. 250,000 is, a rounding error for some companies. But when you talk about human life and the fact that someone made a mistake and now someone's life is, someone is ceasing to breathe. This is a huge problem, right? And so let's frame the perspective a little more. If I ask for a show of hands, and I'm not gonna do that, I guarantee you, everyone in the room knows someone who's either lost battles or was fighting battles with heart disease or with cancer, right? It's easy. We know those people, we've lost those people, we love those people. When we talk about medical error, that is an entirely different game. We really don't know when someone has passed away from that, right? Because there are insurances, there are precautions, there are ways that the people like us, or these people, we don't really know about that unless we push and we press and we fight for the information. So one of the reasons MedCognition exists is to reduce this statistic. We wanna make sure that we can lower that 250,000 number. And that's just inside, ERs, hospitals, roadside accidents. That's not even touching on the incidents that happen inside a mine. And I'm getting familiar with those, but I'm not gonna speak to those today, maybe in a subsequent talk that we have here. So 250,000, right? The frame is just a bunch of Boeing 777s. But that number, the 250K, is like 15 of these planes crashing every week, losing every passenger and every crew member for 52 weeks a year with no survivors. 15 a week. Imagine if 15 planes went down every single week and everybody died. That would get your attention, right? I mean, a door blew off a United flight and it stopped the world for 5 days. Luckily, no one was seriously hurt. But that's the problem we face. People don't frame the perspective the right way. They don't realize how many people are dying each and every day from preventable medical errors. It's because we're human, we make mistakes. There's a great quote, and it goes something like, we don't rise to the level of expectation, we fall to the level of our training. And at MedCognition, we endeavor to train people better. We wanna make you more real, better cognitive thought, better reasoning, better clinical decision making, so that when you approach a patient, when you see somebody who's sick, number one, you understand what type of sick that looks like, and number two, you're not just checking a box, you're making a decision on how to treat that individual. So here's the problem in what is our industry right now. This is the top of the line tech, the highest fidelity mannequin. You can see there's like a line where the ID goes, so you're not missing that spot if you're number 5, 6, 7, or 8. His face is creepy, there's no real workability. He's heavy. So let's talk about the problems with this guy. About $100,000 a piece, and that's out of the gate. The number goes up from there, right? So we joke that these guys are Ferraris on a cot, because colleges will buy them, training institutions will buy them, and then they sit in the closet because people are afraid to break them. They're afraid to use them, right? They're not realistic. You saw the picture of the mannequin. They're hard to move, they weigh upwards of 80 pounds, and here's the big kicker. They take hours to set up, they take hours to control, there are service contracts, there are maintenance contracts, and once they break, it takes weeks to get somebody out to fix it, which that's not even half the problem. The problem is that giant number, because it's about 150 to 200,000 every year just to have a mannequin, for most of the time, sit in a closet. So we've got some development objections, and we've got a solution for this problem. So we've created the first ever augmented reality holographic patients that are highly realistic, right? So we can mimic, we say 10,000 signs and symptoms, the number's about 1.7 million. So if you can dream it, we can actually build it in our controller tablet. It's ultra portable. The entire thing weighs 32 pounds, comes in a 1620 Pelican case. We're actually working with the Permcode team to reduce the weight with some of the inserts we use to protect the equipment. It's clinically intuitive. So if you are a clinician, if you're EMTB, if you're an EMTA, you're a paramedic, you're a nursing student, you're gonna understand how to use our tech even if you've never touched one of our tablets before. And it's easy to use, right? It goes without saying. So I wanna show you just some of the examples of our patients here. These are just still images. The frame rate is terrible when I try to embed something in a PowerPoint for video. But here we have an actual medic on site practicing with one of our goggles, the HoloLens version 2. And we have multiple patient demographics. So the challenge with mannequins is if you know anything about it, you buy a mannequin, you get that mannequin, right? Usually it's a standard white male, 100 grand. There's nothing else you can do with it. You gotta drag it around, you throw it over your shoulder, it breaks, it's hard. With MedCognition, you're getting neonatals, you're getting infants, school-age child, adults, geriatric, all male and female, Caucasian and person of color. And we've got about another dozen animations in the pipeline for the end of the year. So you're talking 40, 50 patients versus one. It's a game changer. Our devices mimic the real life devices that any current medic will use. So you've got a vitals monitor, right? We've got some multiple shots of it, right? Ventilators for respiratory distress. We're able to do very advanced scenarios. So we're talking about monitoring for cardiac function, right? Looking for just any kind of sign and symptom that you can imagine, right? And right, in further transparency, I'm a business guy. I can make a wicked Excel template. I'm not clinical, but I've got clinical people on the team that help us figure all these things out here. So if you can use a smartphone, you can absolutely use any of our devices. So we use some off-the-shelf hardware and then our proprietary patented software here. So what I wanted to do was just simply show you some of the screenshots of how this looks. So the user interface is simple. It's drag and drop, right? You can put your finger, you pull it over, you hit save. You can make a very simple scenario. So what we've outlined here is when we say dead ab pain, we mean you have a stomach problem and you're dead, right? So you see a patient who's about to expire, moderate, severe. Now, as you go across this menu with, chest pain, de-escalation, neuro, respiratory, that list goes on, and then there are drop downs as well with thousands of treatments underneath. The biggest challenge we face is teaching people where all of the treatments lie within this controller software as well. So a little deeper dive here, right? We talk about getting into the mining and safety issues. So we've been working with the NIH for a couple of years. We have full hazmat training. There are some pieces that we need to add in order to meet some of the requirements for mining safety. However, we can do crush injuries, bruising, amputations, respiratory issues. We can go up into the nasal cavity, down to the throat. So if you're dealing with someone who's got a problem after breathing in, not doing the right work here, we can make that happen. We can make that hologram go where you go. So let's talk about how it works and what's included in the system here. So again, we use off-the-shelf hardware. It's the Microsoft HoloLens 2. This has been out for about 7 years, but people know the Apple, right, the Vision Pro better than this product already. We don't talk with Apple, we don't want to do that. Microsoft is open source, Android is a better programming language for us as well. And we have two different tablets, which you saw, a controller and a monitor. The controller is where you create the scenarios, it's where you save the scenarios, it's where you run the scenarios, it's where you edit the scenarios. So again, if your brain can dream it, you can actually create a very simple or very complicated scenario to train your trainers. The entire thing is run off a travel wireless router. It's about the size of a cell phone. It creates a secure closed loop network. And wherever those 4 pieces of equipment are, you have your entire system. You have all of your patients, all of your signs and symptoms. You can use it with or without a mannequin, right? So that portability, if you've got a low fidelity, low cost, lightweight mannequin, you can drag that. There are anatomical landmarkers. So what I mean by that is if you've got the lens on and we're looking to set a patient in front of us, you do a left and a right nipple line, you place the dot by the belly button, one between the knees, and there you have your holographic patient. So wherever this is, you're not confined to a classroom, you're not confined to somewhere with internet. You can take this thing anywhere, right? So we joke with EMS, you can between the tub and the toilet, right back of the field, back of the car, side of the road. We can do this anywhere. All right, so now
We can do it on the simulation, mine on a machine out here, as though you would have a miner who's fallen unconscious while operating a machine. You can literally put that avatar patient in that environment out here. That's the portability of it. Sorry.
No, please, listen, I appreciate it. I'm not the most fun person to listen to all the time. And next time I do round robin introductions, I'm not sitting on that side of Robbie Shell, just for the record. So, but we are constantly in development with all of our products. So if you ever talk to me and I say, no, we're done, it's developed, it's finished, that means we're going out of business the next day because we're constantly innovating. So we're working on a couple of things. Right now the holograms are stationary, but that's problematic when you're talking about dragging people from points of injury to point of care, pulling someone off the side of the road or off a piece of equipment. So what we'd like to do, what we're working on is being able to actually move that hologram, right? So working on the coding behind that, working on natural language processing so you can speak back and forth like we're chatting now. Where does it hurt? Oh, my stomach hurts. What happened? I hit my head, I fell, I'm cut. Somebody shot me, a coworker stabbed me. We've heard a lot of crazy things. We already have procedures that are developed in production right now, so we can do things like listen to the heart and lungs. We can apply tourniquets for crush injuries or amputations. This responds to voice commands, about 3 dozen, sit up, lay down, be quiet, things like that. And we're constantly working on ways to make this better. Now, in the world that we're currently operating in, that we're trying to expand out of, having the ability to do this remotely helps. So if we've got classroom here, and we've got people on the other side of the building, other side of the country, other side of the world, that's when you need the internet. We connect the 4-digit PIN, and now the person who's projecting the holograms, as long as there's one other HoloLens, wherever those other folks are, you're now seeing that exact same patient as it was created in that same similar environment, right? So you're seeing the floor, you're seeing the changes, you're seeing the tallies. But one of the things we've been thinking about, and one of the things that I spoke to somebody when I was down here at the Cult Show a few weeks ago was, well, what if we look at life shelter training, and how does that work with Percent? How does that work with MedCognition? Because the training is rigorous, you've gotta do it often, and I don't know all the requirements, I'm learning about them, from someone who does this on a regular basis. But this is not just about paramedic training, it's not just about EMS training, it's about how can we make mining and mine safety better, how can we make it faster, how can we reduce the cost by providing something that, you know, maybe you weren't expecting to see today, a product you didn't even know existed. That's our big problem. People don't know who we are, they don't know we're around, they don't know what we do here. So I wanna show you just some of the folks who are using it. This is a small sampling here, but the ones I wanna highlight, Bridge Valley, Swivic, Central Virginia, and I don't have Boone County in here. They've been using it for about 3 years as well now. They're trying to drum up some funding. But we've got a good peppering of DoD contracts, mostly community colleges. We've got a few technical vocational high schools that are using it. Laguna Beach just signed a PO earlier in the week. So we're excited to get this out, but our challenge is we're always looking for feedback. We wanna know, how can we change this? How can we make it better? And that's really one of the reasons I'm here. Aside from just trying to educate all of you on who we are, what we do, why we do it, is I need your expertise in this industry on how we can go changing the product, how we can go adding to it to make it make more sense for you. I believe it does make sense. We know how to train. This is what we do. We live and breathe it. We have train-the-trainer programs that last anywhere from 2 to 4 days, depending on the commitment. Whether it's one trainer, a dozen people, we can walk and cycle people through this system quickly and efficiently. We've learned through very hard experience how to do it poorly and how to do it exceptionally, and I believe we're doing that exceptionally well right now. So, again, I'm a lot quicker than my time slot, but the message is clear and simple. We help others train to save more lives. That is all we do, all day, every day. We want to impact training, we want to make better decision makers, but ultimately what I need in my role is feedback from all of you, and that's what I want to open it up to right now, is getting the highlights, right? And I have a system in the car. I can drag it in if you guys want, if you have time, or we can get together tomorrow or another time I'm down in West Virginia, because this is slowly starting to feel like home for me. I've been here, I think half a dozen times in the last 6 weeks. Right, so I'm a Yankee, I'm from the north, I apologize. I can't help that, it's where I was born, it's where I
You've
live.
been here 6 times, at least tell them what airport you can fly into, what county is it in?
Oh, well, yeah, Charles Yeager, I think in there, yeah. Scares the life, I don't know the county. I just know I'm alive every time I.
Kanawha, it's Kanawha.
Oh, Kanawha, sorry. Kanawha. Wow, that's an earlier joke. Oh, man. Well.
How do you say Appalachia? Well, I can't say it.
I can't, listen. I've had, so our company is headquartered in Texas, that's where it all started. 2021, 2022, I spent about every other week in Texas, every other week in Jersey, and the first time a y'all slipped out in front of my wife, she nearly slapped my face. She said, "You were from the north, we do not say those words." Very, very bad. So, but, wanna wrap up, I wanna close. Again, I'm happy to entertain conversations, phone calls, emails. I wanna get connected, I wanna embed, learn what you all do, but from seeing what you've seen, which is just a small sampling of what we do, what I'd like to know is, how do we make this better? How do we modify it? How do I make it make more sense for you, right? Because we have lease programs, we have buy options, that stuff's easy, that's PDFs, kick out an email, no problem. I wanna know how we modify it, and that's where I need your help. So this is the call to action right now from all of you. How can, Jerry McGuire, help me help you, right?
Well, I own a website, I do online training, build it from scratch. It's all about simplicity. Because the thing I had to learn is, I thought everybody had a smartphone. I thought everybody had a laptop.
Right.
No, they do not. When you get a phone call at 10:30 at night and says, "Tell me exactly what is Google Chrome." Let me tell you something, brother, that's a long night.
I've had those calls.
You're starting at the power button. Always keep that in mind.
Absolutely.
Simplicity. Because if you think it's not gonna happen, it
Oh,
will
no,
happen.
it does, we get them.
You brought back a lot of memories I had. The beginning was a mouse and the difference between a right click and a left click.
Was everything.
To the
Yeah.
point where we would tape fingers together.
And then 3 hours later, you figure out they got the mouse upside down. No wonder it didn't work right.
Russell, I'll share some conversation to kind of get some dialogue going and kind of go back where I think is clicks for me, and kinda telling these guys here that represent co-operators. So I got to go down, I was invited to go down with Jerry Piercy and meet these guys, meet Robbie, meet Russell. And, their market, or Russell's market, has been for the ENT training, obviously, that's what his focus is. But where some of those conversations led to was, I can do ENT training, but Jerry Piercy's like, well, what if we go and decide that we need to teach a new maintenance guy how to troubleshoot a Samico panel on these racks that I've got? Or how do I get a new miner operator to learn the functions on the remote box? So my communication with Russell was, obviously we've got these big training facilities that can focus on their one thing, but I think for it to be marketable for operators, I think we need to focus on three things. We need the production guys to say, well, I can teach guys how to use the controls on a miner, and then I can hand it off to my maintenance guy, and I can show him how to troubleshoot a Joy 1415 panel, and then I can hand it to my safety guy, and Gary can do EMT training with a different group. And I'll get Robbie to speak to this during some of that conversation and talking about how easy it'd be to maybe integrate that. I remember that you mentioned to Jerry that you could probably take like the engineering drawings that already exist for that Samico panel or that Joy panel. So all that not all of it, but a lot of that leg work to develop that's already done because you've already got the AutoCAD drawings and stuff. And that's all I got to say with it, but I wanted to open that up because I thought that was first more dialogue with the group. So.
Yeah, what Russell and his group, they're augmented reality, which means when you're wearing the headset, you're seeing the real environment that you're in, and he has created this human being and all these conditions around that. What our VR world has done, we started with hydraulic gear pumps, because during COVID, the way we train people in our factories to assemble pumps, and there's many combinations. If you look at a 21 SE shuttle car pump and then look at the wheel motor on a Fletcher Pinner, they're very different pumps. They're both gear pumps. They're both made out of cast iron, but they have very different features. To learn all of the features was a process of standing beside a master for years. It's 3 to 5 years to learn this skill set. It's 7 years to be somebody that any order can come off the screen and that guy can build that pump the way it's supposed to be built, or motor. When COVID hit, it disrupted all of that one-on-one mentor training program for us. And we didn't know if it was ever gonna end. We just knew our business is up here. We have all of this activity. We need to train people to fill these slots. So we developed our own virtual system, learned it all, brought the right guys in. We partnered with Kent State's Department of Mechatronics, which is taking an electrical computer group with mechanical engineering, and they helped us integrate. Bottom line is, if you've got a wet brake, and you or the manufacturer has a SolidWorks drawing of that, I can take that SolidWorks drawing, run it through our virtual proprietary system, and I can project that into the virtual world that we can create. The one that we created is a pump assembly room, and we can do Tony Stark type stuff. You want to see the exploded parts view, you pull your hands apart, and the pump is actually, the gears are turning, you can see everything. In a case of a wet brake maintenance, they can look at it and say, oh my God, now I understand why that filter is important, because all these clutch discs that are in the process. So that's how we developed that. And just about any component that's got SolidWorks, we can do that. We can also take the new technology of 3D scanning and photogrammetry, and we can take thousands and thousands and thousands of shots of the item. The one that we did, we were asked by Sandvik to fly in to Finland to their corporate training center. They have 3,500 service technicians across the world. And they saw our system at a, maybe Con Expo in Vegas when we showed it. And they wanted us to program a couple of their key machines for virtual troubleshooting, exactly what we're kind of talking about. So that if that guy or that operator is down below, they don't have access to Wi-Fi, they don't have, a manual's not gonna do them that much good because a lot of them don't know where to go. Here's the symptom of what the machine has done. It is shut down, it's showing X code or no code. Grab your headset, put it on. Let's walk you through trying to get this machine rebooted or up, or let's go call the maintenance team and say, hey man, I can't reboot it, the normal things didn't work. That's what they asked us to do to integrate training. The other big factor was the higher tech jobs, crane operators, people who have to be certified. The simulators are super expensive, and you might have $75,000 invested in certifying a crane operator over a 6-month period. Only to find out 3 months into this person turns and says, you know what, I don't know if I really like being a crane operator. But you've already invested that time and simulator time on him. With these technologies, we can make it portable so that you don't have to go to the tech center first. We can qualify you, send this to your house with a football case, let you run it at home and complete the modules there. If you show us that you're capable of completing these modules and finishing this task, we might be willing to invest in bringing you somewhere and training you further with deeper, more intense technology. But we're seeing people wanting to use this to kind of weed out those who want to be, but don't want to work to be a money-making skill set. And so that's our side of the workforce training and development side. It started as very selfish for our own needs. We couldn't train people under those environments. We figured out how to do it, and then we were asked to start providing other opportunities. So the VR world is a little different, not as intense programming as it is for the augmented reality world. Different, but still very effective and very effective from the mechanical aspect.
Yeah, so the way that, just for reference, the way that MedCognition and Permco ultimately got connected, it was your brother had been looking at virtual products along with Mount West Community and Tech College. And Bridge Valley, one of our customers, was there showcasing. They were trying to draw in students, get some staff. They had the system 2 days. We had told them, don't open it up, don't take it out of the box, we have to train you. I get a call from my customer on site. He's like, I know you said not to open it, but I'm at a career affair. I have it, I don't know the steps, can you walk me through it? So again, you get the phone call, all right, here we go. Walk me through the steps. This guy, John Fannin is his name. I will talk about him all day, every day. He is one of our customer champions. He will tell you the good, the bad, the ugly, why he loves it, why he almost didn't get it. He's now 3 successful grants for different MedCognition purchases. He's shared the grant languages with basically every community college he can get his hands on. We're hoping for some big wins there. But the point was, so Todd Shell is now looking at different potential virtual products and other things to try to help VTC, right? So Robbie's, offshoot company here to train the workers to build the pumps. And they stumble upon MedCognition and Persim, and then that's, one-on-one. I get a phone call from, some guy from West Virginia. You guys need 5-10 minutes. We spoke, I think, 3 hours on the phone that. It was a Friday night. And fast forward next week, I'm in West Virginia, I'm Mount West, and now, gonna take up residence here pretty soon. So, but yeah, it's a good connection. There's nothing else, you're digesting, right? I'm available, conversations, iteration, things like that. You can think it, we don't have it, we can probably code around it, we can program it, we can animate it, we can make it happen. We just need to know what we need and how we can help. And that's our goal, is helping everybody.
I'll tell you this, your opening slide with those airplanes, that and medical air, that brought it into perspective for me.
I appreciate that.
And you're talking to a guy, my wife, the mother of my children, and my children are, my daughter's 20, my son's about to be 18. She passed away 11 years ago because of a medical error. You know what I'm saying? So everything you spoke to and where your vision and I'm with you 100%.
You know, there's also variations of medical errors. So we think about some of the iterations and applications for what Russell has developed and his team has developed. And, you know, when I lived in Logan, I was involved with the Boy Scouts, I was involved with Little League, Buddy League, and just about everything there. I was part of that group when they first put heart guards on the Little League players to stop the cardiac arrest from a direct impact. I don't know, Kim, is there a defibrillator in this room on a wall somewhere?
Not in this room, but it's in the next.
Dinner hall.
Okay, so this room skews safety, this room skews trained. If we took normal demographics and put about the same amount of people in here, and let's say I ate a bunch of chicken wings and I did the same thing yesterday and I smoked a pack of smokes on the way over and my blood pressure's, oh, that's actually 160 over 99 now. Let's assume that I've dropped dead. Let's assume that I fall over right now and somebody says, that fat bastard, he needs a defibrillator. Okay, you know how it is when that adrenaline is just shooting through your body, and now you've got, if you haven't been trained, and then all of a sudden the defibrillator you pull off the wall has different color coded pads, and geez, the one I trained on, the pads looked different and it was clear. The big one went here and the little one went here. These are the same two pads, you know. So the thought is that all across this country, every day you're at baseball fields, and on the game nights there's ambulance there. There's trained technicians there. But during normal practice on Tuesday night at the Island in Logan, if somebody went down, I don't think that the first 5 people on scene to get to that person would know what to do or know how to actually interact. So we see all kinds of training potential for those inside and outside of industry and medical and community, because there's such a lack of it. We all feel comfortable that there's 7 defibrillators here, but how comfortable do we feel deploying it and getting my body in a position to deploy it? So anyway, for what it's worth, thank you very much, JJ, for the opportunity that you gave us.
Guys, this was definitely the best presentations that we've had. I think you guys doing a great job. Really appreciate all the cooperation and support. I think we'll do a good job getting this information out, and I think you'll have a lot of feedback post-meeting from everybody. And Russell, same thing. If you want us to distribute the PowerPoint, you'll send us PDF.
Absolutely.
Let's see, we always, like the trend, like historically, we always have little kids comes up.
Well, I was close to being a kid. Remember Kim Stoller then, okay?
Wait, are you the guy who's in the room?
You're 50/50, what's it cost?
$85 is the pot.